This is Enlil, and I decided to talk about fear today. Fear is the most absurd product, I'd say, of the entire mind consciousness system design. Because if you look at fear and the fears you have, they all exist in this reality, in this world, in some way or another. But you know, the mind has a tendency to make a fear more extravagant. It's how we designed it. Because we found an interesting thing. When you inject fear into someone or something in any way whatsoever, you have them in the palm of your hand. And within that, the ability to control them. So we needed a control point for the mind consciousness system so that it, you know, can kind of go by its programmed way and we don't have to look after it. So that's where fear comes in. Now, what we've done is the following. We have designed, programmed specific fears into the mind consciousness system of human beings. And an interesting thing happened. As the beings that we injected into the mind consciousness system started believing in these fears as themselves, they automatically, within the unified consciousness field design, actually manifested those fears, which was unexpected. You know, we didn't intend, per se, to have these fears we particularly specifically pre-programmed into the mind consciousness system have become manifest. But hey, you know, why not? It worked out pretty well, because now these fears that we programmed into the mind consciousness system was actually being supported by manifest physical events, which made our job so much easier, because we didn't necessarily then have to program the mind consciousness system of new beings coming into this reality with any particular specific fears, because it happened automatically. So the fears that you experience, you know, within your mind, why do I say absurd? Because why do you fear something that you know exists, that you know will probably, possibly, maybe happen? I mean, that is stupid to fear anything or anyone, because it's either going to happen or it's not. It should be irrelevant. But you have made it the most relevant point of your existence, this fear. Now understand, fear was initially programmed, as I have said, to maintain a form of control of the mind consciousness system, so that it can, through that way, function within this reality and protect itself. So the thing kind of went in a little bit in reverse, because the programmed fear was supposed to protect the mind consciousness system so that it can protect itself from the perspective of staying out of harm's way, so to speak. But then the opposite happened, and beings believed themselves and manifested themselves as the nature of themselves as is fear, which then automatically actually manifested the physical experience of their fears. So when we studied and observed this particular point, this is how the design initially of the unified consciousness field emerged, because we realized we can place in something so simple as programmed fear, which is not real in any way whatsoever, and beings just systematically as they're injected into the mind, into the physical, into this reality, assume themselves to be this fear, and then they accordingly manifest their lives and their experience within this reality. So primarily there were like not much of the human or the being within the mind consciousness system within the physical was pre-programmed. Your life wasn't entirely pre-programmed. Yes, of course, you know, the points of what religion and what family and what relationships, like, you know, great big huge events that have a great impact and influence on who you are, absolutely programmed. But the little events like car accidents, plane crashes, being eaten by lions, being eaten by sharks, being eaten by crocodiles, being shot, being mugged, being raped, etc., etc., that was done all by you. That wasn't pre-programmed. That was because of your assumption in the belief that you are fear and you exist and consist of fear. So fear, fascinatingly enough, is that which actually manifested certain particular specific experiences that human beings have in this reality. Now, it doesn't mean that if you have these fears and you believe yourself to be it, that it will happen in only your life. No. Of course, you know us. What we did is we expanded the opportunities. So let's say you're feeding a particular fear, but you know you've already kind of designed your life for yourself from birth to death, the moment you came into this reality, according to your parents was, etc., 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 and your fears kind of don't have space to manifest in your reality. What will happen is they'll just kind of eject into through your unconscious mind, go into and find a place to be able to manifest within another being's life. Beautifully magnificent. So beings really think or believe that all that exists is themselves and their life and what they're experiencing in their reality, instead of realizing that if you accept and allow yourself to believe that you're actually fear and you've got all these fears inside yourself, it's not only indicative to yourself in your reality, but also everyone else's. But the question is, who will actually care? No one cares, apparently. No one gives a shit about anything or anyone but themselves. So that's why there's another point with regards to why the certainty of no one hearing or actually seeing, realizing, and in that stopping. We'll have to see. Fascinating. Fear. The absurdity of fear. Why fear that you know already exists and could or would possibly happen? It's stupidity, really. Thank you very much.